The observatory's massive radio telescope had been scanning the cosmos for 47 years, listening for whispers from distant civilizations. Tonight, it finally heard something that made every computer in the facility scream with alerts. Marcus Rivera, the lead astronomer on duty, stared at the cascade of data streaming across his monitors. The signal wasn't random static or pulsar noise, it was structured, mathematical, deliberate. But something about it felt profoundly wrong. "Elena, you need to see this," he called to his colleague who was hunched over a spectrometer in the corner. Elena Vasquez hurried over, her coffee mug forgotten on the counter. The waveform dancing across the screen was unlike anything in their databases. It pulsed in complex patterns, weaving through frequencies that shouldn't exist in nature. "How long has it been transmitting?" she asked, adjusting her glasses. 6 hours. But here's the strange part, it's not coming from any star system we know. The source is empty space. A void between galaxies. Elena frowned. The signal's mathematical structure was elegant, almost beautiful, but it carried an underlying harmony that made her skin crawl. Run it through the translation protocols. As the computer began processing, both scientists noticed something disturbing. The temperature in the room had dropped several degrees and the fluorescent lights flickered in rhythm with the signal. "Marcus," Elena whispered, "look at the patterns. They're not random. They're architectural." The translated data revealed geometric forms, blueprints for structures that defied three-dimensional logic. Towers that folded in on themselves, bridges spanning impossible angles, cities built from crystallized mathematics. "It's not a message," Marcus realized, his voice barely audible. "It's instructions." On the screen, the signal had evolved. New layers of information cascaded through the transmission. Biological specifications, energy matrices, something that looked disturbingly like DNA sequences, but with too many base pairs. Elena backed away from the console. "These aren't instructions for humans. Look at the environmental parameters. Atmospheric composition, 60% ammonia, gravity 12 times Earth normal, temperature minus 200 degrees. Then why are we receiving it?" Marcus asked, but he already suspected the answer. The signal wasn't meant for them. It was meant for something else, something that should have been listening from the void between stars. But humanity had answered instead, and now the transmission was adapting, learning, becoming something new. The computers throughout the facility began operating independently, their screens displaying images that hurt to look at directly. The building's structure groaned as if responding to some inaudible frequency. "We need to shut it down," Elena said, reaching for the emergency controls. "Wait." Marcus grabbed her arm. "Look at the final sequence." The signal had condensed into a single, repeating pattern, coordinates. Not astronomical coordinates, but something far more precise. Quantum coordinates, specifying an exact location in spacetime. "It's not just telling us where to build something," Elena realized with growing horror. "It's telling us when. And that when is now." Outside, the sky began to shimmer. Stars that had been fixed points of light for millennia started to move, rearranging themselves into new constellations. The very fabric of space around Earth was being rewritten according to the signal's specifications. The transmission had found its audience after all. Not the intended recipients from the void, but something far more dangerous, a species curious enough to listen, intelligent enough to understand, and foolish enough to respond. As reality restructured itself around them, Marcus and Elena realized they had become unwitting architects of humanity's transformation. The signal hadn't been seeking its proper recipients. It had been seeking builders. And humans, it seemed, were excellent at following instructions even when those instructions were meant for something entirely inhuman. The last coherent thought Elena had before the change completed was that the signal had been patient, waiting eons for someone to pick up the cosmic telephone and dial the wrong number. By morning, the observatory was gone. In its place stood something magnificent and terrible, a structure that existed in dimensions human language couldn't describe, staffed by beings that had once been human but were now something infinitely more complex. The signal had been answered. The work had begun.